Alright, so does anyone see anything wrong with this photo? It isn't a joke. It's coming straight from the President of the United States, and Canadians need to see this. What you're looking at here came from the President on his Truth Social page. It's obviously a modified image. European leaders would not be sitting there with him, looking at a map that covers Canada with the United States flag. He's openly mocking Canada, showing the US flag all over our country. So I have to ask, what exactly would it take those Canadians still going to the US to get their heads out of the sand, out of the bubble, and actually see what our neighbors are doing? Let me know in the comments below what you think of the President's Truth Social post. Now back to today's video. I'll be talking about a CBC report that discusses whether or when Canada will send troops to Greenland to show support and solidarity with our European friends. There's also a guy I featured before who's strongly against Canada sending troops. You'll recognize him. And once you do, you won't be surprised by his stance. I also have a quick video from Brian Henderson with an update on traffic conditions at the Peace Arch border. And finally, 2 Canadian snowbirds have decided that the United States just isn't for them anymore. And at the end of this video, I'll be sharing more comments from the community. So we'll get into all of this in today's video. The backdrop for this video comes again from James, who sent in this photo from Shippagan, New Brunswick. I have a few more photos from James that I'll be featuring in the future. So thank you, James, for helping us showcase your part of Canada. A quick reminder before we start. The petition calling for a review of Canadian media due to foreign ownership is still alive and closes February 3rd. We've definitely helped move the needle. Signatures have grown significantly from around 1,500 since I started mentioning it in my videos. So if you believe Canadian media ownership deserves closer scrutiny, check out the link in the description below and sign the petition. Okay, let's get started with the first report on whether Canadian troops will be sent to Greenland.
Canada faces a tough decision over Trump's threat to take Greenland, with Denmark calling on allies to show their support.
To show the American president, you have a desire, you have a vision, you have a request, but you will never be able to achieve that by putting pressure on us.
Several European allies have answered the call, although their deployments are small and symbolic.
They're not sending soldiers in numbers that would actually defend bases and towns in Greenland from any true attack, but they are saying something very clear.
Sources tell CBC News that Canada is considering a plan to send a small number of soldiers to Greenland. They could be deployed by the end of the week.
If you ask me, it's the right thing to do. Even if it's just a small delegation of soldiers, physically showing Greenland and Denmark that Canada supports you. I want to see our Canadian flag on our soldiers, standing alongside Greenland, Denmark, Germany, Finland, the UK, and all the other countries that have sent troops. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me on this. And if you do agree and you're not subscribed, I'd really appreciate if you help out my channel by hitting the subscribe button below. And before we continue on the report, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. I wanted to reach out to our viewers in Greenland and Denmark. I know we have a fair number of viewers from both countries who watch my channel. I'd really like to get on a call with someone from either of the countries to talk about what's currently happening, and to get a perspective directly from Europe, from citizens of Greenland and or Denmark. So if you're from one of those countries and you'd like to share your thoughts, please send me an email. All right, let's get back to the report.
Canada really can't do anything but support Greenland and Denmark in this circumstance.
Canada's former ambassador to the UN says Ottawa needs to stick by NATO allies, meaning Canadian boots on the ground in Greenland now, if it expects support from Europe later.
Canada can't afford to be ambivalent about this because we're now on the menu. And that is something I think every Canadian needs to understand, that Canada's own integrity and our own territorial sovereignty is very much at stake.
This Canadian completely understands that. If we don't show solidarity with our NATO allies in a situation like this, then we can't expect those same allies to support Canada if or when the rotten orange guy sets his sights on us in a more serious and less peaceful way. And let's not forget the report I showed yesterday. All the attention right now might be on Greenland and the orange guy's letter to the Prime Minister of Norway. But you can bet that there's still planning happening behind the scenes to take over the Maple Leaf.
Trump has warned the countries that deploy to Greenland they're playing a very dangerous game. The former chief of defense staff says NATO faces a do-or-die test.
Our Prime Minister is walking a tightrope in what he does when you don't really want to be in the clear view of a bully, especially when there are big negotiations coming. But I think you do want to do what you have to do to stand up for your morals and integrities.
I find it ironic that this former general is talking about morals and integrity, when anytime I see him, he's promoting the Lockheed Martin F-35s, claiming it's a superior jet, and finding every possible reason why Canada should choose it and scrap the idea of the Swedish Gripen fighter jets. I guess it's because this same guy was on the Lockheed Martin Canada board, and according to the Park Group website, he still provides strategic advice to Lockheed Martin. If that information is outdated, then you really should update their website. What bothers me is that his advice feels like trying to hide behind a tree from a bully. But that bully's going to find you regardless. So instead of hiding or bowing down, you need to stand up for yourself. I respect your military service to Canada, Mr. Lawson, but right now, you're clearly showing a bias towards the other side. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you agree with me on this, or am I off base?
And other analysts warn that acting later, out of step with other allies, raises the risks.
It's a descending pathway into a very dangerous situation if we don't act. Canadian government has sat on its hands for too long.
The Canadian government has postponed a decision on Canadian deployments while the Prime Minister is out of the country. He's set to return to Ottawa on Wednesday.
And so, Evan, there are already some elements of the Canadian forces inside Greenland, as I understand it.
Yes, we understand some Canadian F-18s have deployed to Greenland for a NORAD mission that was planned previously, and that mission will see Americans, Danes and Canadians working alongside as if these were normal times. But the Danes are looking for a bigger and longer lasting troop commitment to come not alongside U.S. forces, but potentially to defend the island from them.
That has to be awkward for Canadian and US soldiers who are there right now on a separate NORAD mission. I'm sure they're talking, training, and doing exercises together and hanging out. But at some point, maybe weeks from now, or sometime in the future, they could end up facing each other. It's a strange reality if you ask me. But I agree with what was said. Canada needs to deploy a small delegation, just like the other countries, to show solidarity with NATO. Because if we don't do that, I wouldn't expect European nations to step up for us if the orange guy is looking at Canada. We have zero reason to remain loyal to the United States any further. And in my opinion, this is very much an all-hands-on-deck situation. Now switching gears, back to North America, I want to show you a video from Brian Henderson, who has an update on the situation at the Peace Arch border. I want you guys to keep an eye on the traffic going south into Washington State. This video was taken this past weekend. Let's take a look.
These are protesters here on the border. A few more this week. Hello. Go Hawks!
Wait until the sun came out, didn't you?
Yeah, it's how I roll. Go Hawks! Go Hawks!
Go Seahawks!
Go Hawks! Yeah, so those are all cars going into British Columbia. So this is going north. This is the border. This is the Peace Arch right here. Right? You can see into the United States, there's no one going south today. Canadians are not going south. There's just not. And it's dramatic. Businesses that rely on Canadians coming through, specifically upwards of 50% or more in drop of business, whether it's Blaine, Birch Bay, even Bellingham.
I've used this border crossing hundreds of times. Normally on a weekend, there would be a line, and that lineup would stretch all the way up the hill, past the Canadian Border Office. This is also peak time. A weekend during prime hours, there should be a massive lineup, but there isn't. And I'm pretty sure those border wait time signs that we see on Highway 91 and Highway 99 are basically stuck at less than 5 minutes. Those of you watching from the Lower Mainland know exactly what I'm talking about. So seeing this actually makes me very happy. And what makes me even happier is seeing the cars from the US come to Canada. We don't have any issues with US citizens coming to Canada, unless you're wearing a red hat. Other than that, you're more than welcome to Canada, in my opinion. I'm showing this because while all the attention right now is focused on Greenland and Denmark, and the orange guy's deranged letter to Norway, our efforts are still working. And like I've said in previous videos, I honestly think 2026 is going to be even worse for the US than 2025. Now moving on to the last report. These former Canadian snowbirds who used to travel to the US have decided that they're done with the States. Let's take a look.
This is typically when maritime snowbirds flock south to escape the winter. Some have left, as usual, mostly for Florida, but others are not only not going, they're thinking about selling their properties down in the States. You can see the number there. CTV's Emma Convey spoke to some.
We had lots of memories there of them
And then the memories we have here from the park.
This time last year, Gwen and Paul Edmund were already unpacked for their 5-month stay in Florida. Things have changed. They plan to return in March to pack it all up for good.
I sort of feel the tension in the air. You know, some of our friends are feeling different and some are the same as us. And I just found it's not for me anymore.
As I said before, everyone has a choice. A choice to continue going or a choice not to go. You can tell this snowbird couple took the red pill, while those who are still going down, living their own bubble, have taken the blue pill. Now, if you haven't seen The Matrix, basically the bottom line is the red pill is the reality, the blue pill is living in a bubble. But she said something that kind of stood out to me, and I haven't heard much of this in other snowbird reports. She did mention that some of her friends in the US are starting to feel a little different. And I am glad she said that. Not all US citizens view Canadians the same way anymore. Why? Because they listen to Fox News and their orange potato president. And that message about Canada filters down to the citizen level. Your once good friend in Florida may see you as the enemy now. So why would anyone want to deal with that? Unless you actually support the direction the United States is heading.
After traveling south for years, they bought their first condo in 2011. Now their latest winter home is in a 55-plus park in Largo, Florida.
There's something every day for everyone that lives there. And there's there were a lot of Canadians in our park. Not quite so much now.
They too agree it's no longer for them. In a few weeks, they will return to sell their car and pack up their home. The deciding factor, the change in U.S. government. Now they want to expand their horizons and see more of the world.
I hear comments, that they think it's a joke to talk about the 51st state and, somebody who was told to get back in their car and head back to Canada.
Others like Martin Firestone, a Canadian who will spend the next 4 months in Delray Beach, Florida, says the only difference he's noticed is less travelers.
There are no lineups anymore like there used to be at restaurants or other attractions. So I guess in many ways to us personally, that's a positive.
What do you guys think about this guy? My guess is that he could care less about what's going on in the world. He's just happy there's no lineups. Me, right? Let me know your thoughts on this guy in the comments below.
But to the owners of the businesses, maybe not so. So things are normal as ever.
As the president of a travel insurance company, he says more people are buying trip cancellation and interruption insurance.
The currency isn't going to change dramatically. There was a time Canadian was at par with US, even higher. I can't see that happening.
Some are content to stay, while others know the market is tough, so will hold tight. But for Paul and Gwen, they are ready to close the doors on their place in Florida.
I have a lot of respect for Paul and Gwen, and I hope you're able to wrap things up in Florida. And I'm glad you decided to explore the rest of the world. Now I want to share a few comments from the community. There are literally thousands of comments every single day, and I can't get to them all. But these ones really stood out to me. So let's get started. The first one comes from Really Canadian. I have an appointment with my nearby credit union to move my Scotiabank money and investments at 2 p.m. today. If you're not aware of what the CEO of Scotiabank said, he's basically saying that he sees the orange guy's recent actions as a positive because his bank is going to make a lot of money. And because of that, a lot of Scotiabank customers have decided they don't want their money with a CEO who supports the orange potato. So good on you, Really Canadian, for making that move. The next one is from one of our viewers from Netherlands. He says, Netherlands here. I keep hearing about people skipping a visit to the US. Just this morning, a woman had been planning to visit her relatives in the US, but she's postponing. She's too scared to go. Another one the other day is skipping a road trip to the US for now, just waiting it out, and she'll probably go when it's safe again. I think that's what the person meant. The World Cup is a different one. Everyone wants to cheer for their country, but I hear quite a few people who are on the fence, where they only want to go if the match is in Mexico or Canada. And trust me, the Dutch are massive football fans, so this is big. That'll be great for Canada and Mexico. But in my opinion, that person who's waiting it out, I think they're going to be waiting for a very long time. This next one was from a video I did on Morro Bay. The person says, the Morro Bay people are lying. I'm an American who stayed in Morro Bay from March 2025 to May 2025. I was staying at an inn there because the prices had dropped. A staff member told me that their bookings were down by half because of the drop in international visitors. Her hours had been cut because of the drop in tourists. She voted for Trump and said now he's ruining everything. 5 to 7% is BS. To I am the answer, thanks for clarifying and giving us an update. To the staff member who voted for Trump, I guess you got what you voted for, right? This next one is from Fire. American here. The amount of gaslighting and flat out lying by our media is off the charts. I laughed so loudly when the comment about Las Vegas will fully bounce back in 2026 was made. That's absolutely not going to happen. When the discussing comments and policies from the orange twat, tourism will continue to plummet. I want people to boycott the US for their own safety and to send a message. Sorry, I was kind of caught off guard with that twat message. There's no way domestic tourism will make up for it. Hell, we can barely afford food, utilities, and housing, let alone travel. And don't get me started with the cost of our healthcare. But it was very sobering to realize things like the Hilton situation isn't more widely known. I'm beginning to realize how much of what's going on here is being kept quiet. Please know that millions of Americans hate this demented idiot in charge and are actively resisting the administration in ways large and small. And please keep boycotting this country. Seeing it makes us resisting feel less alone. Thank you for all you do to keep others informed and boycotting strong GTL. Watching your videos is part of my daily boost of reality and sanity. First off, Fire 8, thank you for supporting my channel. I'm really glad the videos are helping you to see what the US media chooses to show and what it chooses to leave out. And honestly, it's not just your country. It happens here too in Canada. But seeing your comments and hearing you say that you're starting to realize how much is being kept quiet, that genuinely motivates me to continue creating these videos. Last one for today is from Pigeon6666. American here. Do what you need to do, Canada. We love you and we are fighting this regime the best we can. Thank you, Pigeon. And please stay safe down there, my friend. I purposely showed 2 comments from our US neighbors because sometimes I need a reminder too that we do have friends in the United States who support Canada. It's easy to shut out the entire US because of the actions of the orange turd. But the truth is that we still have friends down there. It might be a smaller group, and in my opinion, a large portion of the US is still apathetic about what's going on. But personally, I still need to remember the people who do support us. I'll have more community comments to share in future videos. That's it for today. If you found any value in anything I talked about, help out my channel by hitting the like and subscribe button below, and feel free to share this video with your friends and family. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.